Look, don't shoot me, I'm just a messenger. Now let me ask you a serious question. Why do so many couples struggle in their sex life knowing they love each other so much? And why do many men feel confused about what their partner wants? And many women feel like their partner doesn't understand them emotionally. Well, here's the truth that most people weren't taught. Men and women experience arousal differently. It's not wrong, it's not broken, it's just different. And one of the biggest missing pieces in many relationships today is something very simple, and it's called foreplay. Now, foreplay is not just physical, it's also psychological. And today we're going to talk about the psychology of foreplay, how the brain affects sexual desire, how men and women respond differently to intimacy, and how understanding information simple as this can transform your relationship. So let's get right into it. All right, the first thing I want to talk about is how the brain is the most powerful sexual organ in your body. Now, most people think sex starts with the body, but scientifically and psychologically, it starts with the brain. And I say that because your brain controls desire, attraction, emotional connection, and pleasure. When someone feels safe, relaxed, and connected, the brain releases chemicals like dopamine, oxytocin, and serotonin. These chemicals literally make intimacy more meaningful and more enjoyable. But when the brain feels stressed, disconnected, emotionally distanced, or pressured, the brain shuts down desire, and that's why it's not just physical. It's emotional and psychological first. So what foreplay does, it activates the brain before the body. Speaking of foreplay, let's talk about what foreplay really is. Now, when people normally hear the word foreplay, they only think about physical actions. But real foreplay actually starts long before the bedroom. And I say that because, believe it or not, foreplay includes emotional intention, meaningful conversations, compliments, eye contact, flirting, playful energy, and even affectionate touching. So in other words, foreplay is the buildup of emotional and physical connection. Think about it like a great movie. The most powerful moment of the movie isn't the beginning, it's the buildup. Without the build-up, the ending doesn't feel as powerful. Relationships work the same way. Now, let's talk about how men typically experience arousal. Now, for many men, attraction comes very quickly. This is because men usually have higher levels of testosterone, which drives sexual desire. Many men respond strongly to visual attraction, physical touch, and sexual thoughts. That's why strip clubs is always booming, and prostitution has always been the oldest profession in the world. So this means a man's arousal can sometimes work like a light switch. It turns on quickly. Now, that doesn't mean men don't value emotional connection, but biologically speaking, it means that men's sexual desires activate faster. Now, this difference may cause confusion sometimes in a relationship because the man gonna think, well, I'm ready, why aren't you? But this leads to the next important part, which is the female arousal pattern. You see, women often experience arousal very differently. For many women, the brain plays a large role in sexual desire. Meaning things that influence arousal includes emotional safety, trust, feeling desire, affection, the quality of the relationship, and even stress levels. If a woman feels emotionally disconnected, stressed, or unappreciated, it's going to be hard for the brain to activate a sexual desire, if that makes sense. This is why experts always say men are like a light switch and women are like a dimmer switch. Meaning the light slowly gets brighter, it builds gradually, and this is where foreplay becomes so important. And I say that because foreplay brings both partners into the same emotional and physical rhythm. Now, another powerful psychological element is anticipation. The brain loves anticipation. Think about it, waiting for a great vacation, a build up to a championship game, or even excitement before a surprise. Anticipation increases dopamine in the brain, and foreplay has the same effect. Because instead of rushing intimacy, it allows the brain to experience excitement, connection, and desire. And guess what? When anticipation builds, pleasure becomes more intense and more meaningful. All right, the next thing I want to cover is emotional connection and oxytocin. Now, there's a hormone called oxytocin, and many scientists call it the bonding hormone. Now, this hormone is released through hugging, kissing, affectionate touching, and emotional closeness. Now, this particular hormone creates feelings of trust, closeness, and attachment. This is one reason why intimacy can strengthen relationships, because it's not just physical pleasure, it's emotional bonding happening in the brain. So now that we know that, let's talk about why couples sometimes struggle with this. Well, we can start with many relationship problems happen because couples really don't understand the differences. Meaning a man may think, why do we need all this extra stuff? And a woman may think, why does he always rush everything? But guess what? Neither one of them is wrong. They simply experience desire differently. So understanding this removes the frustration and helps build empathy. So with that being said, let me give you a few practical ways where couples can build better intimacy. 1. Slow y'all ass down, because rushing intimacy often removes emotional connection. Number 2, focus on affection outside the bedroom, meaning go do things together, hold hands, give each other compliments, rub each other's back, rub each other's feet. This is what's going to build the emotional closeness and also release the dopamine, oxytocin, and serotonin. Number 3, communicate openly. Healthy couples talk about desires, comfort zone, and emotional needs. And number 4, prioritize connection, not the performance, meaning the goal should be closeness, not pressure. Always remember this, healthy intimacy is not about physical attraction. It's about understanding one another. And when couples understand the psychology of arousal, they stop fighting each other and start working together. Remember, foreplay is not just preparation, it's connection, communication, and emotional bonding. And when couples learn to prioritize those things, their relationship gets stronger in every other area. As always, I hope this message helped at least one person. I will be back at you again tomorrow with another one. Until then, I need you to keep your head on a swivel, love yourself, and only help who wants to be helped. I love y'all. I'm out.